So yeah, the COVID epoch that we live in has led to some interesting changes in the way that we look upon our urban landscape. And again, Zaragoza is no exception. Towards the end of September, a Zaragoza City Council meeting voted to adjust the local plan. The wording is to allow the conversion of empty commercial premises into residential property, or parking garages, or bike parking areas, or neighbourhood cultural spaces, or even distribution warehouse sites. A lot of people jumped on the headline of the idea of converting empty commercial property into residential property, but as you can hear from that list, there are a few more other options that are included in the description. It was discussed that this would not impact major streets or particular commercially established streets, so the large major shopping streets of the city. So you can't necessarily have an empty shop converted into a flat or a group of flats right smack on one of the busiest and most significant shopping streets of the city. And also these sites had to be left empty for at least, I believe it's 3 years before they can be considered for this. The problem with this plan is that there wasn't really much detail given as to what is entailed in this plan. I think it's simply a licensing arrangement. It's an opportunity for landowners to change, or property owners to change the licensing of their property. Political opposition in Zaragoza was cynical about the lack of detail, or the alternative extreme was that if they were going to be increasing residential capacity in areas, where would be the increase matched for services for new people? What do you think, Ben?
Well, this was actually quite a strong political talking point, understandably so, because it's about housing, it's about the distribution of property, or the way that public property is used. So Podemos...
Not public property, no. And actually, the council went to great lengths to point out that this was not a policy for the council to start purchasing property.
Yeah. Podemos took the position that this was a socialist plan, socialist movement, and they're 100% behind it. And obviously, on the other end of the spectrum, Vox were sceptical, to say the least.
Well, yeah, they said they expressed concern for particular neighbourhoods that have a large number of empty commercial premises that may therefore then face a lack of investment for services if you increase the number of residential capacity without attributable services, for example, GP surgeries, schools, libraries, etc.
Well, I've spoken to the Spanishers in my life, my neighbours and friends and students, and the general consensus was that they should work on the existing housing projects. I mean, they started talking about what happened with 2008, all of these, the skyline with these cranes and these half-finished housing projects like Arcosur here in Zaragoza, and they were saying, look, we did this before, we built, and when the economy collapsed, we ended up with these half-finished housing projects. Why don't we finish those off before we start looking at things that need fixing?